guys, welcome back to my read along channel. This is the Bed and Breakfast Star by Jacqueline Wilson. This is all Jacqueline Wilson's own work. I'm just reading it for entertainment and pleasure. Today we're going to read the next chapter, which is called We Nearly Have Our Chips, on page 173. So without further ado, let's get going. So, for just a second I stood still, staring, and then I threw back my head and gave a great lion roar. Fire! I shouted, fire, fire, fire! I banged on room 612. I banged on room 611. I banged on room 610. I banged on room 609, charging wildly back down the corridor and bellowing all the while, fire, 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 fire! I shouted so long and so loud it felt as if there was a fire in my own head, red and roaring, and then I got into room 608 and I went hurtling inside, screaming and shouting as if I snapped on the light. Fire! I flew to Mum and shook her shoulder hard. Mac propped himself up on the elbow, his eyes bleary. Shut that racket, he mumbled. I can't. There's a fire alarm in the kitchen. Oh, quick, quick, Mum, wake up. Pippa, get up, come on, out of bed. Mum sat up, shaking her head, still half asleep. It was Mac who suddenly shot straight out, grabbing Hank from one bed, Pippa from the other. It's okay, Elsa, I'll get them out. You wake the others along the corridor, he said, busy and brisk. Oh, good Lord, what are we going to do? Mum said, stumbling out of bed, frantic. Quick, kids, get dressed as soon as you can. I'll do Hank. No, there's no time. We just got to get out, said Mac. No clothes, no toys, no messing about. Out! Baby pillow, Pippa yelled, struggling. But Mac held her tight. I've got him, I said, snatching baby pillow from Pippa's bed. Then I went charging down the corridor, calling, fire, 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 all over again. The smoke was stronger now, and I could hear this awful crackling sound down the corridor. One of the men went running towards the kitchen in his pyjamas, but when he got near, he slowed down and then backed away. Get everyone out, he shouted. The whole kitchen's ablaze. Keep yelling, little kid. Wake them all up, loud as you can. I took a huge breath and roared the dreadful warning over and over again. Some people came running out straight away. Others shouted back, and someone started screaming that we were all going to be burnt alive. No one will be burnt alive if you all just stop panicking, Mac shouted, charging down the corridor. Pippa under one arm, Hank under the other, Mum stumbling along in her nightie behind them. Mac was only wearing his vest and pants, and any other time in the world I'd have rolled around laughing. He looked like such a sight. But we all looked sights. People came blundering out of their bedrooms in the nighties and pyjamas and t-shirts and underwear. Some were clutching handbags, some had carrier bags, several had shoved in their possessions in blankets and were dragging them along the corridor. Leave all your bits and bobs behind. Let's get out down the stairs. Carry the kids. Come on, get cracking. Mac yelled. He banged his fist against the fire alarm and at the end of the corridor, and it started ringing. You nip down the 5th floor and get that alarm going too, Elsa, Mac yelled, and keep calling fire to get that dozy lot woken up properly. Go on, pal, you're doing great. I shot off down the stairs and searched for the 5th floor fire alarm, but it had already been broken weeks ago by some of the boys, and no one had ever got round to mending it. But I wasn't broken. I was in full working order. Fire, I roared. Get up. Get out. Come on, wake up. Fire, fire, fire. I ran the length of the corridor and back, banging on every door, screeching until my throat was sore. Then I rushed back and down the stairs, pushing past sleepy people stumbling in their nightclothes, desperate to find Mum and Pippa and Hank and Mac, wanting to make sure they were safe. Elsa, where are you? Come here, baby. It was Mum, forcing her way back up the stairs, shouting and screaming. Oh, Elsa, she cried, and she swooped on me, clutching me as if I would never let me go. I thought you were with us, and then I looked back and you weren't there, and I had come back to get you, even though Mac kept telling me you were fine, and you were just waking everyone up. Oh, Elsie, lovey, you're safe. Of course I'm safe, Mum, I said, hugging her fiercely. But I've got to get cracking down on the 4th floor now. No one else has got such a good voice as me. Listen, fire! I nearly knocked Mum over with the force of my voice. Goodness, yes, well, I don't see how anyone can sleep through that, but it's okay. They've got the other fire alarms going now, and some of the men are seeing that everyone's getting out. They've rung the fire engines, so come on now, darling, hang on tight to my hand, said Mum. We made our way down the stairs, clinging to each other. There was no smoke down on the lower floors, but people were panicking, surging out and running like mad, pushing and shoving. One little kid fell down, but his mum pulled him up again, and one of the men popped him up on the stairs, out of harm's way. The stairs seemed to go on forever, as if we were going down and down right into the middle of the earth. But alas, the lino changed to the cord carpeting on the first floor, and then even though our feet kept trying to run downwards, we were on the level of the ground floor. The manager was there in a posh camel dressing gown, wringing his hands. "Which one of you crazies set my hotel on fire?" he screamed. "I'll have the law on you, and we'll have the law on you too, because your fire alarms aren't working properly. And we could have all got roasted to a cinder if it wasn't for my kids," Mac thundered. He was still clutching Pippa in one arm, Hank in another. He turned to me, and for one mad moment I thought he was going to try and pick me up too. "Yeah, this little kid here, she raised the alarm. She got us all up and out of it. Our Elsa. I'm not Mac's Elsa, and I never will be, but I didn't really mind him showing off about me all the same." "That Elsa? Yes, little Elsa. She yelled fire, fit to bust. She was the one who woke us up, that little kid with the loud voice." They were all talking about me as we surged outside the hotel onto the pavement. Lots of people came and patted me on the back and said I'd done a grand job, and one man saw I was shivering out in the cold street and wrapped his jumper right round me to keep me warm. Someone had dragged out a whole pile of blankets, and the old ladies and the little kids got first pick. There weren't enough to go round. "Come on, Jimmy, you can be a gent too," said Mac, seizing hold of the manager and helping him out of his cosy camel dressing gown. He draped it round the shimmery Asian granny, who nodded and smiled. The manager was shaking his head and frowning ferociously. He looked even sillier than Mac now, dressing a pair of silky boxer shorts and nothing else. The bunny receptionist looked a bit bedraggled too, without her Angora jumper and with her fluffy hair and curlers. Switchboard looked startlingly in red satin pyjamas, a bit like large raspberry jelly. Now that everyone was safe out in the street, this fire was almost starting to be fun. Then we heard a distant clanging, and a big cheer went up. The fire engines were coming. We all crowded out their way, and firemen in yellow helmets went rushing into a hotel with their firefighting equipment. Lots of the kids wanted to go rushing in after them to watch. Funnyface had to be the frog marched away from by his mum, and Simple Simon and Nicky and Neil started their own fire engine imitations, barging around, bumping into people. Even baby Hank cottoned on and started shrieking like a siren. Several ambulances arrived, although no one had actually been hurt, and the police came too, and guess who else? A crew, television crew. Not the children crisis people. These were from the news stations, and there were reporters too, running around with notebooks, and photographers flashing away with their cameras, although all the people in their underwear started shrieking. Everyone asked how the fire started and who discovered it, and someone said Elsa, and then someone else echoed them, and soon almost everyone was saying Elsa, 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 me. People were prodding me, pushing me forwards towards the cameras and the microphones and the notebooks. It was my moment of glory. And do you know what? I can hardly bear to admit it. I came over all shy. I just wanted to duck my head and hide behind my mum. "Come on now, lovey, tell us all about it. You were the one who raised the alarm, weren't you? Come on, sweetheart, no need to be shy. It sounds as if you've been very brave," they said. "Tell us in your own words exactly what happened." I opened my mouth, but no words came out. It was as if I had used up all my famous voice yelling "fire" so many times. So someone else started speaking for me. The wrong someone. The someone who really doesn't have anything to do with me. We're not even related. Though now he was acting as if he was my dad and I was his daughter. The poor wee girl's got a big gobsmacked, and no wonder. But she did a grand job raising the alarm. I'm not going to do the voices. Mac boasted, strutting all around. He was careful to hold in his tummy. All the time the cameras were pointing his way. He couldn't flex his arm muscles properly because he was carrying Pippa and Hank, but he kept carefully arranging his legs as if he was posing for Mr. Universe. He didn't look half like a Burke. He sounded like a right Burke too, prattling on and on about wee Elsa, and if I'd had any voice left at all, I'd be contradicted him furiously. Then Pippa piped up. "Yes, my sister Elsa's ever so big and brave. She rescued my baby." "She rescued the baby," he said, the reporters looking at Hamp. Yes, she went and got him out of his cot, and I was crying and crying because I thought he'd get all burnt up, and Dad and Mum wouldn't let me go back for him. They wouldn't go back for the baby, said reporters, their eyes swivelling from Hank to Mum. Not our baby, it's just Pippa's pillow. She calls it her baby, said Mum quickly. Then she realised the cameras were aiming at her, and she clutched her nightie with her hand and did her best to tidy her hair with the other. Don't worry, we made sure we had our baby Hank safe and sound. But certainly, if it hadn't have been for our Elsa, then we could still be in our beds right this minute. Charred and cindered, said Mum dramatically. Yes, Elsa banged on our door and woke us all up. We'd be dead if it wasn't for her. She rescued us, all of us, said Naomi's mum. Me and all my babies, she said, showing them off to the camera. Elsa's my best friend, said Naomi, nodding her head so that the plaits got jiggled. Elsa's my best friend, too, and she rescued us all, said Funny Face, and then he pulled the funniest face he could manage, all cross-eyed and drooly mouth, until his mum gave him a poke. My mum was giving me a poke, too. Come on then, pet, haven't you got anything to say for yourself? All these nice gentlemen want you to say a few words about the fire. Come on, lovey, this is your big chance, Mum hissed. I knew it. I swallowed. I wet my lips. I took a deep breath. Fire, I mumbled. It was as if my voice could still only say one thing. I concentrated fiercely, trying to gain control. Fire crackled through my thoughts. My brain suddenly glowed. Do you know what happened to the plastic surgeon who got too close to the fire? I said in almost my own voice. What plastic surgeon? There was a medical man in there. Did he get out okay? The reporters clamoured. He melted, I said, and fell about laughing. They blinked at me, missing a beat. I decided to forge right ahead like a true professional. What were the two Spanish firemen called? We haven't got any Spaniards in our team, said one of the firemen, wiping the sweat from his brow and replacing his helmet. Okay, but what would they be called? Jose and Hose B, do you get it? He didn't look very sure. Mum gave me a violent nudge. Elsa, stop telling these silly jokes. But once I got started, I couldn't seem to stop. Why did the fireman wear red trousers? I paused for a fraction. Everyone was still staring at me oddly. His blue ones were at the cleaners. Packety and Elsa, Mac hissed, looking like he wasn't sure he wanted to be his wee Elsa after all. It's the shock, said Mum firmly. She's just having a funny 5 minutes. Only she's not been flipping funny, said Mac. Yep, I think we'd better cut the jokes, said the television man gently. I try harder, I said desperately. I'll try a new set of jokes, okay? Or I could be put on a silly voice. Why not use your own voice, Elsa? And why do you have to try so hard? Just be yourself. Act natural, said the television man, chucking me under the chin. Let's start again, Tell us in your own words exactly what happened. But if I just say any old thing without any jokes, then I'm not funny, I wailed. Who says you've got to be funny? Well, I want to be a comedian and get to be famous. You don't have to be funny to be famous. And we don't really want people chortling when this goes out on the news. We want to touch the heart. We've got a super story here. You're a great little kid, Elsa. You come over really well on television if you just relax. It's kind of difficult to act relaxed when you're standing on the pavement in your t-shirt and knickers and a whole bunch of strangers are asking you questions, I said, sighing. I wasn't trying to be funny, but the weirdest thing happened. Everyone chuckled appreciatively. So what happened, Elsa? You woke up in the middle of the night and so I started to tell them exactly what happened. I said I thought the smell was someone cooking chips, and I started to get peckish and slipped out of bed to go and beg for a few chips myself. They laughed again. Then I told about tripping over Pippa's My Little Pony, more laughter, and I still hadn't told a single joke. Then I went on about the fire and dashing up and down the corridor, banging on the doors and yelling. I waited for them to laugh again, but this time they listened spellbound. The television man asked what I had yelled, and I said, "Fire!" And he said it wasn't very loud, and I said, well, I did it a lot louder, and he said, show us. So I did. I threw back my head and I roared, "Fire!" That nearly blew them all backwards. Most people had their hands over their ears. Some shook their heads, dazed. Then someone laughed. They all joined in. Someone else cheered. Someone else did too. Lots of cheers for me, for me. It really was my moment of fame. I hadn't blown it after all. My interview went out on television. I thought I sounded sort of stupid, but everyone else said it was splendid. It went splendidly. While Mum moaned because her hair was a sight and she didn't have any makeup on, and Matt fussed because they'd cut out most of his bits and he was only shown from the waist up so no one could see his great hairy legs. But they didn't cut any of my bits. I might not have made it into Children in Crisis documentary, but guess what? My news interview was repeated later in the year in a special compilation programme called Children of Courage, and I got to do another interview with a nice blonde lady with a big teeth, and Mum spent some max betting money on a beautiful new outfit from the Flowerfield shopping centre for my special telly appearance. Mum made me try on lots of frilly frocks, but they all looked awful. So she gave up and let me choose instead. I wanted black jeans so they couldn't show the dirt. Mum bought me a black top too and tied a red scarf around my neck, and then guess what we found at the car boot sale? Red cowboy boots. They're a bit big, but we stuffed the toes with paper and I looked absolutely great. The blonde lady with the big teeth loved my outfit too. She said I looked just like a cowboy. I was a bit nervous, so without thinking I got launched into cowboy joke routine. Who wears a cowboy hat and spurs and lives under the sea? Billy the Squid. She laughed. It wasn't that funny, one of my oldest jokes actually, but she laughed and laughed and laughed. She said that she loved the jokes. The older and cornier the better, and she said I could maybe come on her special show one day and do my own comedy routine. And that is the end of that chapter. I believe after this, guys, it is the last chapter of the book, which is a bit sad but very exciting, and it will be another one complete. So the next chapter will be called My Best and Biggest Ever Breakfast, and that's on page 191. But until the next time, guys, thank you for listening and goodbye.